In this forecast, we're going to be talking about severe weather with damaging winds, large hail, and tornadoes across the United States this weekend and into early next week. In addition to that, very heavy rainfall could lead to some flash flooding across the United States. And we'll look ahead to the middle of June as more severe weather and some heat waves will be possible across the United States. So in this forecast, if you are here, make sure to give it a like, a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you're new, turn on the post notification bell so you're notified for future videos and live streams, and share it with friends, family, and on social media. Let's look at our severe weather threat for this evening, and we have a slight risk of severe weather, a 2 out of 5 on the risk scale across southern Kansas and into central Oklahoma. This includes Wichita all the way down into Oklahoma City and Tulsa as we go through the evening hours. Damaging winds will be the primary threat of 60 to 70 miles per hour in this yellow shaded colors, a 15% chance of that. In the brown is a 5% chance. Here we also have a secondary hazard of hail that could be upwards to quarter size in the 15% chance in the yellow, and brown shaded color is a 5% chance of quarter size hail, and a low but non-zero chance for tornadoes, a 2% chance of tornadoes in southern Kansas and into central Oklahoma, Wichita, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, all included in the 2% chance of tornadoes, and this is a 2% within a 25-mile radius of any given point in or around this area. Now, looking at the dew points this evening, we are seeing dew points in the low to mid 60s, a very well mixed boundary layer, and this is going to cause some problems as far as the instability. It's going to be very localized instability, and we're not seeing the very strong summertime instability that you see typically with these storms. So this actually may be a problem in getting any widespread severe weather, but still there's some instability here across Kansas and Oklahoma that could fire off severe storms as we go through later this evening. Here is a depiction of what the radar could look like as we go into the 7-8 o'clock time frame. Notice it's very quiet. Go to the 9-10 o'clock. We have a couple of thunderstorms trying to fire off in eastern Kansas and southern Kansas. These may initially have trouble attempting to develop just due to the fact that the boundary layer is very well mixed with the wind out there, and dew points are low, and we have a cap on the atmosphere. As we go into the after midnight time frame, storms may have a better opportunity to start developing as they push south into Oklahoma, especially the Stillwater area, Tulsa, getting down into the OKC metro. This is about 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and then leading up to sunrise, these storms will spread southward into south central and southeastern Oklahoma and western Arkansas, still posing a risk for damaging winds, large hail, and a couple of tornadoes. The convective footprint of thunderstorms across east central Oklahoma will be scattered. Not everybody will see thunderstorms, and this is a good depiction of the areas that if they do see storms, could see a quick ½ inch to an inch of rainfall. If you don't see a storm, then obviously, yes, you won't see any rainfall at all. It's going to be isolated to scattered across east central Oklahoma, southern Kansas, and into western Arkansas. Now, as we go into Sunday, June 1st, and flip the script to a new month tomorrow, a slight risk of severe weather in eastern portions of Texas. This is a 2 out of 5 on the risk scale. Also severe weather possible with marginal risks, 1 out of 5 on the risk scale up into Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming. Also from Colorado into New Mexico, eastern Tennessee into the Carolinas, and southern portions of Florida. We also could have some winds and hail in those areas. The primary risk for tornadoes will be here in East Texas, where we have a 2% chance of tornadoes, including the Waco region and the I-35 corridor as we go into Sunday. So here's Sunday at 7 a.m. We have a couple thunderstorms ongoing across Oklahoma and western Arkansas. Some of these could be severe with wind and hail. The tornado threat is low, but a couple tornadoes will still be possible. Thunderstorms also likely across south central Florida, Naples, Fort Myers, over in towards Daytona Beach. Could be seeing the potential for some stronger thunderstorms there. Going into the noon hour, we have some thunderstorms continuing across southern Florida. Also weakening storms across North Texas, as those storms from overnight tonight will be weakening as they push into the DFW area into the morning hours tomorrow. We're also seeing some moisture lifting up from Alvin into the desert southwest we'll talk about momentarily, but severe weather will be possible in scattered instances across parts of the country. as we go into the afternoon and evening there on Sunday. Now here is the precipitable water anomaly percent of normal here, and notice the blue and purple shaded color across the Baja of California pushing northward into Arizona, New Mexico. That is the moisture associated with the remnants of Tropical Storm Alvin in the eastern Pacific. That'll be pushing up into the desert Southwest, providing some flooding rains for the Four Corners region, and then as we have a cold front coming through in the early to mid portion of the week, that could get rid of some of that moisture, at least the heavy moisture from that, by the middle of the week. So looking at Arizona, 7 a.m. tomorrow, we got some moisture moving up at times with showers in southern Arizona. More widespread activity as we go into Sunday night across the Phoenix area, Tucson, and into Flagstaff. Some of this moisture getting into San Diego as well. The heaviest of the moisture will be in Arizona. Then as we go into Monday, this is going to spread northward into Utah, Colorado, and eastward too into New Mexico. So Albuquerque, Denver, and Salt Lake City, some of these areas could start to see some heavier rains as we go into Monday, and then that rainfall will shift more into Colorado as we go into Tuesday, especially for Tuesday morning. Heavy rainfall and an early start to the monsoon season could definitely see upwards to 4 inches in isolated spots here of some rainfall, most favored in Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona, with some lighter moisture the further north you go into northern Utah towards Salt Lake City. But nonetheless, seeing some moisture getting up there into central and northern Utah with the remnants of Tropical Storm Alvin through the middle of next week. We're watching a trough in southern Canada that's going to swing through, and the remnants of Alvin is actually going to meet up with the trough across southern Canada and bring a cold front to the United States, and this will be our next focal point for severe weather in the plains and into the upper Midwest, Mississippi Valley by the early portion of next work week. Have a slight risk of severe weather in western portions of Minnesota, eastern South Dakota, much of Nebraska, and northeastern Colorado as we go into Monday, June 2nd, with a marginal risk extending down into the Texas Panhandle and West Texas. This could be expanded, this could be upgraded as we get closer, but the primary threats here will be damaging winds, large hail, and isolated tornadoes. The threat for severe weather shifts east on Tuesday. This is 4 days out. A slight risk of severe weather from Madison, Wisconsin, all the way down into Wichita Falls, Texas, and areas of Tulsa, all the way up here into Kansas City are also in play for severe weather here on Tuesday, June 3rd. Primary risk again will be damaging winds and large hail, but isolated tornadoes will also be possible. Here are the dew points as we go through that early week time frame ahead of the cold front on Monday. We're going to see dew points into the upper 60s getting up into the Dakotas, Minnesota, and Nebraska. You can see the cold front shifting east slowly as we go into Tuesday. Look at the 70-degree dew points getting into eastern Iowa, northwest Illinois, and southern Wisconsin on Tuesday afternoon. This is going to provide plenty of moisture. So not only will these storms be potentially severe, but they also could be producing some very heavy rainfall along the way as well. And then the cold front comes through Tuesday evening, and then the moisture, at least the heavy moisture with dew points in the 60s and 70s, will be shifting further off to the south and east. Looking here at Monday, instability very strong from Nebraska up into South Dakota and western Minnesota, 3,000 to 4,000 joules per kilogram. That is very high storm energy. So Monday morning, storms will develop up into eastern Montana and western North Dakota. They will be shifting southeastward, and a squall line will develop. This tells me damaging winds and large hail will be the primary threat, with an isolated tornado along any kinks on the leading edge of the line, or if supercells can develop out ahead of the squall line, then the tornado threat could maximize there. This is starting around mid-afternoon Monday and going through Monday evening. That squall line will shift southeast through Nebraska, western and central Iowa, and southern Minnesota during this time frame. On Tuesday, we have less instability. This is a little bit uncertain here, as some more instability could be creeping up into the Midwest. Other models show over 2,000 joules per kilogram up here in southern Wisconsin and northern Illinois. This particular model is not as bullish. It's showing around 500 to 1,000 joules per kilogram. But nonetheless, Tuesday morning, we're watching out for some hail producers, some wind producers with any remnant lines of storms that we see from Monday night into Tuesday. Those will weaken. We'll see renewed development of supercells and lines of storms Tuesday afternoon and evening. This will be primarily for damaging winds and large hail, but a few tornadoes will be possible. A tornado setup could be a little bit more elevated down here in Oklahoma, southeastern Kansas, and southwestern Missouri as we go into Tuesday afternoon and Tuesday evening. Notice how slow these storms are moving, which tells me Also, these storms will be very efficient rainfall producers, very heavy rainfall here as we go into Tuesday afternoon and evening, and some beneficial rain as well for places like Chicago and Milwaukee. And going into midweek, this could also be producing some severe weather here across the Mississippi Valley, maybe another marginal slight risk day. Thursday, possibly more heavy rain and severe weather moving across the mid-Mississippi Valley into the Ohio Valley. Friday, that moves up across the Northeast. Probably not a lot of severe weather, but some heavier rains from portions of New York State all the way down into the Carolinas. And then next weekend, another storm system, northwest flow, could bring another cold front and strong instability for more severe weather in the midsection of the country as we go into next weekend on Saturday, June 7th and Sunday, June 8th. Looking at precipitation going through next weekend, notice it's going to be adding up in a big way here. First with Tropical Storm Alvin's remnants across the Four Corners region. And then a couple cold fronts will be moving through with heavy rain and severe weather. Going through Monday, June 9th, we have the potential of seeing multiple inches of rain across the middle of the country, and this could be causing some flash flooding out there, so be careful there. First, before we leave, let's talk temperatures. Record highs across the west were in the 90s, triple digits for the Sacramento Valley here as we saw this afternoon. 80s warming up across the plains today. As we go into tomorrow, the warmth will start to spread eastward. A couple record highs are possible in Utah and western South Dakota into the 90s, and 90s could be all the way up into northern Minnesota and North Dakota as well. Triple digit heat in southern Texas. And then as we go into Monday, June 2nd, 90s and widespread record highs possible up there into the Twin Cities, Duluth and Marquette, Michigan, with 90s all across the Midwest down there near the Gulf Coast. And then the cold front will come through, bringing refreshing 70s to the upper Midwest and Central Plains by the middle of next week on Wednesday, June 4th, and more 80s, 90s across the South and the East. And the 70s will continue as we go through Thursday and Friday, June 5th and 6th across the Midwest. Thank you all for watching. If you did enjoy the forecast, make sure to give it a like, a thumbs up. Have any comments and questions, make sure to jot them down. Turn on post notifications for any future videos and live streams. We'll have another video forecast likely out for you tomorrow. And also subscribe to the channel so you are updated, and also share this with friends, family, and on social media. And I'll see you all in the next video.